the we're gonna work through this, and I think we've still got the confidence of the president, and we continue to work on important issues like flu vaccination.
It's been a painful day for Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price. After getting a flu shot to try to promote vaccinations, he was besieged with questions about his job security following weeks of revelations about his use of private charter flights on the taxpayer's dime. And the White House refused to defend him.
Look, as the president said yesterday, he's not thrilled, certainly not happy.
Does Secretary Price expect to keep his job in this administration?
I think the president's addressed this yesterday. We're going through this process. We're going to conduct a full review, and we'll see what happens.
Late this afternoon, Tom Price finally made a qualified apology after the HHS had insisted for a week everything was above board. And in a statement which reads in part, quote, "I regret the concerns this has raised regarding the use of taxpayer dollars. I will take no more private charter flights as Secretary of HHS, no exceptions. I will write a personal check to the U.S. Treasury for the expenses of my travel on private charter planes. The taxpayers won't pay a dime for my seat on those planes." My seat. Turns out that, yes, Price plans to just pay for his lone seat of his chartered flights, not the entire bill. HH says he will write a check for $51,887 out of the reported $400,000 charter flight bill. That's just 1/8 the cost of 26 charter flights he kept taking even after Politico started reporting on his private jet expenses. And tonight, things just got even worse for Secretary Price. Politico reporting that the White House approved the use of military aircraft for multinational trips by Price to Africa and Europe this spring and to Asia in the summer at a cost of more than $500,000 to taxpayers. The overseas trips bring the total cost to taxpayers of Price's travels to more than $1 million since May, according to Political Review. Political healthcare reporter Dan Diamond co-authored that incredible piece of reporting. He joins me now. $1 million sounds like a lot of money. Is it a lot of money in context and in comparison, right? That's the sort of, what's the apples to apples here?
Well, it's a lot of money in comparison to what other cabinet secretaries have spent, or at least has been reported. I think Tom Price is well out in front when it comes to his frequent flyer travel. We've, over the past week, Chris, I've talked about it with you, and you've covered it quite well. We've seen first a report of more than $50,000 up and down the East Coast, ballooned to $300,000, then $400,000. Now we're over $1 million in terms of his travel in just 4 months. And this is a guy who, as a congressman, railed for years about government waste, but now is using the government for what many would say is wasteful spending.
I want us to break this down into two parts. So let's talk about his apology today. Given that you've been reporting going back and forth with HHS and they've been insisting he's busy, this is all above board, and it's warranted and justified, what did you make of Price's apology today?
Well, I would say that it caught us a little by surprise, Chris. My partner, Rachana Pradhan, and I have been talking with HHS for a few days about this specific story. The international travel piece, it's a little more nuanced than domestic travel. The White House signed off on it. It's a little more clear that maybe a cabinet secretary needs a plane to get to Africa in a way that don't need a commercial or need a private jet to get to Nashville. But HHS knew that the number was going to be big. They went very quiet on us. And we heard about the apology at the same time as everyone else. We haven't actually gotten the confirmation from them that Price is going to pay $52,000. They seem to have told every other news outlet in town except for Politico.
Are they sending you a message, you think? Okay, I'll just interpret that. So here's my question for you. I mean, it also was a little misleading, I thought, when he said the taxpayers won't pay a dime for my seat. And just to be clear here, those flights that you've reported on, they weren't chartered for someone else and Tom Price was like, hey, can I get a ride? They were chartered, the whole plane, so that Tom Price could go to a place, right?
They weren't chartered for his 25-year-old press secretary or body man. Those planes wouldn't have taken off if not for Tom Price and HHS saying that he needed them. And all week, even this morning, Chris, I was being told by HHS these were necessary, these were defensible, and something changed to the point where he felt the need to not only apologize, or very carefully apologize, but say that he would pay 11% roughly of the total cost of his domestic travel. Haven't heard anything on the international travel yet, though, again, a little more nuanced. Other cabinet secretaries take these planes too. It's just he was taking them, again, Berlin to Geneva, Beijing and Tokyo, these are cities where there are lots of commercial options for a lot less.
I want to play one clip of the president who sort of jokingly threatened to fire Tom Price if Obamacare repeal went down. I want you to look at that clip and then give your sense of where his job security is. Take a listen.
He better get him. Oh, he better. Otherwise, they'll say, Tom, you're fired. I'll get somebody.
What's his job security situation at this moment?
He's in hot water. My colleagues Josh Dawsey, Andrew Rastuccia have reported quite carefully about how annoyed the White House is with this story for a couple of reasons. First, it's impossible to defend when it comes to the domestic travel. Second, there are some communication miscues between HHS and the White House. HHS thought that this would be essentially a one-day story. It has turned into much more than that. So while the White House has been more defensive or more willing to defend on the international piece, the domestic travel and just the sheer total, $1 million plus is a lot for anyone, especially a cabinet secretary who's only been in office for a handful of months.
More than the total of suggested budget cuts, the travel budget of HHS suggested by Tom Price himself. I would note, Dan Diamond, fantastic reporting again. Many thanks.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.